If I said you have 10 minutes to decide what's for dinner, could you handle that? Like, how are you under timed pressure?
Choosing your last meal, you want more than 10 minutes. Choosing what's for dinner tonight, sure, I could do that in 10 seconds. Thai food.
See, there is something weird about 10 minutes where it is either an eternity or it goes by in a flash.
Yeah, if it's like, can you do this math problem in 10 minutes? It's like, we're gonna need some more time.
I mean, I can give you an answer to that very quickly, and it is no, I cannot.
Yeah.
In the NFL draft, in the first round, every team gets 10 minutes to make a pick.
Seems like 10 minutes is almost too much time for that. It's like, you're prepared. I guess there's like some buffer minutes in there for if your pen breaks.
And there's months leading up to that where you can go through player profiles and scout them and have a good feel for who you're going to select. But then once the draft itself happens, your time on the clock is 10 minutes, which naturally brings up the question of what happens if a team runs out of time. And the NFL has a rule just to make sure that teams know what to do when that happens. Basically what it says is if a team runs out of time, they do not lose their pick, but other teams are allowed to pick ahead of them. And it's up to that team to just get the pick in once they have it, and they can kind of like slot in anywhere.
So it's like if you don't take your 10 minutes, no big deal. It just spins everything into chaos. And the fastest person gets the next guy.
So the way that it traditionally works is the team decides on a player. They call their representative who's there at the draft. They write that player down on a card, and they give it to a runner who then turns it in. Once the runner has it, they're like, cool, pick is in, move on to the next team.
Great, simple, fun.
But in 2003, the Vikings, with the 7th overall pick, they just didn't pick somebody, and their time ran out. And
were they were aware it was their turn?
They were extremely aware that it was their turn. So here's what happened. 7th overall pick. They knew who they wanted. They said, why don't we try to trade back? We can still get this guy, but like, hey, what if we pick up a few extra draft choices in the process? Win-win.
Yeah.
So they were talking to the Ravens and the Jaguars. The Jaguars had the pick right after them, and the Ravens had the 10th pick. Both teams wanted the same player. So the Vikings were in a nice place of like, we have exactly what they want, and we'll move back and still get our guy. We're like certain we're going to be able to get our guy. They agree to a deal with the Ravens. They were going to get a 4th and a 6th round pick, move back to the 10th spot, be totally good. They called the league to let them know, like, hey, talk to Baltimore. They're cool with it. We're cool with it. Here's the deal. And then they kind of kicked their feet up and waited for Baltimore to call in their side and verify with the league.
Great. Let the celebration begin. Mission accomplished.
Right. But here's where a second rule comes into play that like seems pretty obvious. In order for a trade to go through, both teams have to call it in to basically prevent one team from just being like, no, we swear they said they would send us everything.
Yeah, and they made us the point person, so we'll do the calling and just make sure we get the guy. Yeah.
Right. The Ravens did not get in touch with the league to say, hey, here's the trade. So the moment that the clock hit 0, the Jaguars with the 8th pick, who were also in trade talks with them, who also were aware the Ravens were trying to jump up, they saw the clock hit 0, and so they just turned in their pick.
Yeah, you snooze, you lose. Classic rhyme.
So the Jaguars turned in their pick, and that is how they wound up drafting Byron Leftwich. And according to the NFL rules, now the Vikings could just do their thing. But the Panthers also were watching what happened, and they had the next pick, so they immediately turned their pick in and took Jordan Gross, who wound up being an incredible offensive lineman for them for like a decade. And then finally the Vikings were like, oh yeah, let's turn in our name. And
why?
So what it essentially wound up being was like they went from the 7th pick to the 9th pick without getting anything in return. In real time, the Jaguars, the Panthers, the Vikings, and then the Ravens made all 4 picks within 4 minutes because they were just busting ass to get up there.
Yeah, you'd think that sense of urgency would be felt across the board. I guess it's so strange that one team would be so unaware of the clock while the other ones are so on top of it.
For sure. And I think what that probably was caused by is it seemed like they were really upset with the Ravens. So the next day when the Vikings head coach, Mike Tyson, he was talking to a ton of Vikings fans who were just booing the shit out of him.
Good talk.
He was like,
no, we got our guy, I swear. We totally got the guy we wanted. We didn't screw this up. And also, we had a deal in place with the Ravens. They just didn't call it in.
It's on them. He also used the word consummated, which kind of just sucks.
Yeah, you don't go out of your way to use consummated.
Yeah, get a thesaurus.
Unless you're bragging about something very specific, which I don't think he was. So did the Ravens sabotage the Vikings?
I'm not going to rule that out yet, but here's what they said.
Okay.
The Ravens owner came out and was like,
look, the deal was not consummated.
He also used that word.
Once it's in the air, you can't nod.
They claim to have called the league and gotten a busy signal.
Wait, what year did you say it was?
2003.
So, wait, couldn't it just... Why does the NFL still have busy signals? Especially when everyone's going to be calling them. Shouldn't call waiting or multiple lines? It's also funny that the Ravens didn't call back again. It's we got a busy signal, so that deal is dead. Could it be possible that the Ravens went through this whole thing and then just didn't call to just be super mean?
It just said, busy signal.
Yeah, sorry, busy signal. We tried. Idiots. And then they laugh and laugh.
Could the Jaguars have been just spamming that one number and cause the busy signal themselves? There's just a lot of territory for theoretical sabotage.
Right. If it hasn't been done yet, it should be. Use the weapons at your disposal. It's all part of the game.
I really hope Belichick sees this.
He'd be the one.
Yep. Hey, thanks for watching. We've got plenty more weird rules, so if you want to keep watching those, we've got you covered. Here's one of my favorites about the legendary toeless kicker, Tom Dempsey. Subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and while you're at it, drink lots of water.